Hello, friends. How are you all? I hope you all are fine and doing well. So, today we are going to start a new chapter which is some aspects of Indo Islamic architecture. So, let's start it. In the 7th and 8th century CE, Islam spread towards Spain and India. Islam came to India particularly with Muslim merchants, traders, holy men, and conquerors over a passage of 600 years. Although by the 8th century CE, Muslims had begun to construct in Sindh, Gujarat, etc., it was only in the early 13th century that large scale building activity was begun by the Turkish state, established after the Turkish conquest of northern India. By the 12th century, India was already familiar with monumental constructions in grandiose settings. Certain techniques and embellishments were prevalent and popular, such as trabation, brackets, and multiple pillars to support a flat roof over a small shallow dome. While arches were shaped in wood and stone, these were unable to bear the weight of the top structure. Now, however, the arcuate form of construction was introduced gradually in which arches could support the weight of the domes. Such arches need to be constructed with voussoirs, that is, series of interlocking blocks and fitted with keystones. The domes resting on pendentives and squinches enabled spanning of large spaces, leaving the interiors free of pillars. A noteworthy aspect of these migrations and conquest was that Muslims absorbed many features of local cultures and traditions and combined them with their own architectural practices. Thus, in the field of architecture, a mix of many structural techniques, stylized shapes, and surface decorations came about through constant interventions of acceptance, rejection, or modification of architectural elements. These architectural entities or categories showcasing multiple styles are known as Indo-Saracenic or Indo-Islamic architecture. According to E.B. Havel, Hindus conceived manifestations of God everywhere in multiple forms as part of their religious faith, whereas a Muslim thought of only one, with Muhammad as his prophet. Hence, Hindus adorned all surfaces with sculptures and paintings. Muslims, forbidden to replicate living forms on any surface, developed their religious art and architecture consisting of the arts of arabesque, geometrical patterns, and calligraphy on plaster and stone. Now we will read about typologies of structures. Keeping in mind religious and secular necessities, architectural buildings like mosques for daily prayers, the Jama masjids, tombs, dargahs, minars, hammams, formally laid out gardens, madrasas, sarais or karan sarais, cos minars, etc., were constructed over a period of time. These were thus additions in the existing types of buildings in the subcontinent. Architectural edifices in the Indian subcontinent, as elsewhere in the world, were constructed by wealthy people. They were in descending order: rulers and nobles and their families, merchants, merchant guilds, rural elite, and devotees of a cult. In spite of the obvious Saracenic, Persian, and Turkish influences, Indo-Islamic structures were heavily influenced by prevailing sensibilities of Indian architectural and decorative forms. A lot of dependent on the availability of materials, limitations of resources and skills, and the sense of aesthetics of the patrons. Although religion and religiosity were very important to people of medieval India, as elsewhere they borrowed architectural elements liberally. Now we will see categories of styles. So, The study of Indo-Islamic architecture is conventionally categorized into the imperial style, that is Delhi Sultanate, the provincial style, that is the Mandu, Gujarat, Bengal and Jaunpur, the Mughal style, that is Delhi, Agra and Lahore, and the Deccani style, that is Bijapur, Golconda. These categories help in understanding better the specificities of architectural styles rather than putting them in immutable slots. Now we will see architectural influences. Amongst provincial styles, the architecture of Bengal and Jaunpur is regarded as distinct. Gujarat was said to have a markedly regional character, for patrons borrowed elements from regional temple traditions such as toranas, lintels in mihrabs, carvings of bell and chain motifs, and carved panels depicting trees for tombs, mosques and dargahs. The 15th century white marble dargah of Sheikh Ahmad Khattu of Sarkhet is a good example of provincial style, and it heavily influenced the form and decoration of Mughal tombs. Now we will read about decorative forms. These forms included designing on plaster through incision or stucco. The designs were either left plain or covered with colors. Motifs were also painted on or carved in stone. These motifs included varieties of flowers both from the subcontinent and places outside, particularly Iran. The lotus bud fringe was used to great advantage in the inner curves of the arches. Walls were also decorated with cypress, chinar and other trees, as also with flower vases. Many complex designs of flower motifs decorating the ceilings were also to be found on textiles and carpets. In the 14th, 15th and 16th centuries, tiles were also used to surface the walls and the domes. Popular colors were blue, turquoise, green and yellow. Subsequently, the techniques of tessellation, that is mosaic designs, and pietra dura were made use of for surface decoration, particularly in the dado panels of the walls. At times, lapis lazuli was used in the interior walls or on canopies. Other decorations included arabesque calligraphy in high and low relief carving and a profuse use of jalis. The high relief carving has a three-dimensional look. The arches were plain and squat and sometimes high and pointed. From the 16th century onwards, arches were designed with trefoil or multiple foliations. Spandrels of the arches were and decorated with medallions or bosses. The roof was a mix of the central dome and other smaller domes, chhatris and tiny minarets. The central dome was topped with an inverted lotus flower motif and a metal or stone pinnacle. So today this much we have studied, and in the next video we will read further. Thank you.